Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to From the Heart. This is Juan and Andrade, and From the Heart is hosted by none other than the Juan, that's Juan and Only, coming to you taped from the Area Career Center Multimedia Department in Hammond, Indiana. I am here today with two very special guests by the name of Amy Howell, who is the Director of Communications and Media Relations in the Indiana Office of Tourism Development, and Ms. Erika Dahl, who is the Director of Communications, South Shore Convention and Visitors Authority. But we are going to be changing the topic for this show and talk about the movie industry, the film industry, as it pertains to the state of Indiana. And so we are going to start with Ms. Amy Howell, because Ms. Amy Howell is actually the director, is that your correct position there, for the Film Indiana office, is that correct?
Correct.
And so, Amy, how long have you been in that position? Because I think it was just maybe created or something not too long ago, would that be correct?
So Film Indiana was actually under IEDC, and we took it back almost 2 years ago, and so that office falls now under my leadership. So I was in television for 20 years.
Okay.
So I was a news producer. I actually have 4 Emmys to my credit. So I know a little bit about the production background and the news background. And so the whole idea of it being under the Office of Tourism is that we are the marketing arm for the state of Indiana.
Okay.
So the idea is to market Indiana to filmmakers. So just the same as we market Indiana to visitors, and we want them to come, we want them to stay here and visit Indiana, we also want them to come here and make films. So that's the reasoning behind Film Indiana and why it's under the Indiana Office of Tourism Development.
Let me just read this real quickly. Guess the economic impact of 347 Illinois film and TV productions. Let me also say this: despite a drop in the production of TV shows, the city and state, I'm talking about Illinois, film offices are crowing about still, let me see, Buffalo figures that they hit last year, with overall spending in the state of Illinois at an estimated of $423 million. The figure is slightly down from $499 million in 2016, but it's the second highest spend ever. Let me also say this. On the other hand, according to the city, shooting on movies and commercials was up in terms of days, with such features as Widows and Viola Davis and the sci-fi thriller. Let me finish up with this here. The State Film Office, and this is Illinois, in its statement emphasized that women and minority hires made up 53% of the reported crew employees across the 347 TV commercials and movie projects shot here. Minority lawmakers have pressed for such diversity in approving industry tax credits, which pay up to 30% of the cost for goods and services on production work in the state. As we know, at least in Northwest Indiana, we actually have only one TV station, which is Lakeshore Public Media, which is a PBS station. I don't know what we have in Indianapolis, and I don't know what we have in the southern part of our region. But I can say this, that Indiana as a whole state is dwarfed by the Chicagoland media as it relates to movies, as it relates to commercials and everything else. So by you heading this film office for the state of Indiana, I say you have your work cut out for you. Not that maybe we may ever be able to compete with everything that is being done in Chicago and so forth, but where there's a will, there's a way. So, and you know what, let me say this here too, and when you first were appointed, I guess, to this position, what came through your mind?
Well, when I first came into this position, I looked at it as a challenge.
Okay.
But it's also a passion of mine. This is what I did in college. These students that I'm looking at now, this is what I did in college. These are the things that I learned. So I know what this experience is like for them, and I know what it's like for others out there. So
Okay.
I get it, and I know what it's like to go through 20 years of actually working at a TV station and what that business is like. So, you know, I want to see it succeed. So that's why I'm doing it. And I'd like to see Indiana succeed.
Was this TV station in Indiana or in another state?
I've worked for 2 television stations in
Okay.
Indiana. And I've worked for, if you count my internships, I've worked in 3 other states.
Okay.
So, you know, I worked with the same company for a majority of that time. So I do know what it's like, and I still have a lot of friends in the business and a lot of friends out of the business. And a lot of my friends have gone freelance because of what it is like. And the truth of the matter is, that's one of the questions I get most often is, do you have tax incentives? And sometimes the conversation ends there. Because it's not just Chicago, it's not just Illinois, it's all the states around us except for Michigan.
Then, isn't that something that, when I asked the question in a previous show, what would you like to request if you were in front of our state legislatures? That would be something under their umbrella, would that be correct?
That would be correct. So,
And I think it would kind of go to the point of a vision, and do they want to make Indiana a leader, I guess, when it comes to bringing and the filming of movies in Northwest Indiana or in the Indianapolis area or southern part of the state. So where are you on that?
well, this past session, which wasn't a budget session, so it was a good time to actually talk to lawmakers. I did do some of that groundwork at the State House. And they all seem interested. They're all interested in the jobs. I think it's a next level jobs initiative that it could be. It's also about educating our students so that they stay in Indiana and they don't go elsewhere to Chicago or to Georgia, which is a hotbed now for jobs. And then the other thing, you know, that we would like to do is have it all across the state. And that's one thing, because there are a lot of films in Chicago, and that's why Erika is here, because Erika, I'm one person, and so I do need help when things come to my office and they need a location. There are people out there that actually help me assist filmmakers, and Erika's one of those people that do that. And so she'll help me find locations or the right people to talk to within a city. And you know, sometimes she'll take the lead on something, sometimes I take the lead on, depending on whatever it is. But there is some overflow from Chicago that we do get, and that revenue does come here. And it's a matter of lawmakers actually seeing that and seeing that it will work. It's the whole issue of tax incentives, of giving money to seeing the return on investment. So,
You know, as I was saying a little bit earlier, I had the opportunity to, I guess, meet your counterpart for the state of Illinois, and during this, I think it was a breakfast, she talked about everything that they do in Illinois as it relates to the film industry and so forth. I do want to ask you this. One of the things that she talked about is some of the leading, I guess, colleges or universities in Illinois that are leaders when it comes to students going there for their degrees and so forth, that are in the area of film industry and so forth. Are there any colleges or universities in the state of Indiana that you can talk about today that are leaders in those fields?
absolutely. Ball State and IU definitely come to mind, because I personally know a few of those students from those colleges that have gone to LA and Georgia and have received jobs, in pretty well high-paying jobs that that have done well for themselves. Taylor University and Goshen University, both also top of the line equipment, and they offer internships with Disney, with ABC, things like that. So there are schools out there that do top-notch film programs. The problem we have is retaining our students and keeping them here in Indiana for the jobs that they would like to have.
Okay. Let me just say this again. I am very grateful that you came here today to be on From the Heart from Indianapolis. And you know what? One of the reasons I wanted to bring you here was for you to take a look at the studio here and see what we have. I mean, what Hammond has here in Hammond, Indiana, as it relates to a teaching institution in reference to the TV, radio, and if there's other projects Miss Stephanie wants to work on in terms of what she does here, and she does, I think, a tremendous job. I'm actually on the advisory board for the multimedia department for here. But based upon the small tour that you got here, based upon what is taking place right now by this fabulous group of students, what are your thoughts?
Absolutely. I think they're on the right track. I definitely think that they have a very nice studio facility, their equipment. She's teaching the kids very well what to do. Their Hoosier hospitality was the first thing I noticed, actually, so kudos to her for that. But it's part of a Vincennes program, which also has a very good program, and I failed to mention them. There's so many schools out there, it's hard to mention, and that's the thing. We are teaching our students very well. Again, the issue is not educating them, it's retaining them.
Opportunities.
Yes.
Right.
So
What are they going to do when they are out of school?
right, we teach them, but they leave us. So
You know what, I do want to ask you this because I have a lot of ideas. Like I said, I was on public access TV for 7 years and so forth. I'm on the radio now and starting this program here, and I'm very grateful. But as far as what we can do up here to help you bring more films and so forth to Northwest Indiana and beyond, where would like an office of the authority that Ms. Erika is a part of play in terms of a role in that?
it's actually a big role because she is at the Indiana Welcome Center. I mean, she's at the state line. There's no better place to get anyone from Illinois, filmmakers and whatnot. That is the crossing point from Illinois into Indiana. So that's the #1 stop. And if you've never seen their building, it's architecturally beautiful. It's clean. It always has wonderful everything inside of it. So, but that's where you want to start. And that's where they have a plethora of information from every part of the state. And she's the starting point. And if she doesn't know where to find it, she knows how to get a hold of somebody who does. And like she said, we're in contact at least once a week probably. So we are resourceful women, and we can find out, or we know somebody who will find out for us, or whatever it is. So, you know, she's been working on several different things of, you know, you need a parking spot for something in Whiting or whatever. She knows the police department, and we'll get it done.
Well, you know what, we're getting near the end of our first segment and going on to a station break. So please hold on.
See this gazebo? This is my gazebo. Users like you don't belong here.
What are you talking about? This is public property.
Oh, no, it ain't. Now, get out of here!
Hey, what was that?
Start running.
Hey, why don't you get out of here?
Oh, look, everybody. We've got a tough guy over here. I have better things to do.
Don't worry about it, man. You won't bother me.
We are back from our station break here on From the Heart, featuring the Juan-and-Only. That's J-U-A-N, and not just any heart, my heart. We are talking with Amy Howell and Erika Dahl, and we are talking about the film industry as it relates to our good old state, the Hoosier state of Indiana. And when we talk about that, we have to talk about our neighboring state of Chicago and Illinois, because Indiana is bombarded by Chicago and Illinois as it pertains to TV, commercial TV, and so forth. So we are trying to see what, get as much information from our two valuable guests here today, and hopefully work on a project or so to bring or help Miss Amy in her office to bring more filming into the state of Indiana. So, Erika, what are your thoughts on that, if in terms of what your office can do, and if there would be a major opportunity down the road to bring more films being made in Northwest Indiana and so forth throughout the state of Indiana?
I think it would be fantastic. Film is a huge economic development, and in Indiana, I don't think a lot of people understand that it impacts union workers, it impacts drivers, so we can call a Teamster to come out. So the local economy, Props uses local antique shops if they're doing something. For example, Public Enemies, everybody in this area remembers when Johnny Depp came in, and their location scout reached out to me immediately, and the state office, and we worked from every department with whether it was the picture car coordinator to all the way to crafty, and that's your food and your drinks, and they're buying local items. So when you bring a film, or no matter how big or small, they're using some sort of local people, products, our infrastructure, everything, and it's a way to showcase an area in a very positive light. And people remember Johnny Depp coming here and remember shaking his hand, and it created an emotion. It's a feeling for a lot of people. It's Hollywood. I mean, people, it's stars in their eyes, and it brings with it all of that. But even more importantly, it brings money. It really does. So if we can offer a tax incentive to bring more filmmakers here to do larger projects. I mean, Amy had mentioned Georgia is huge. Albuquerque, New Mexico, they started offering, most states offer an incentive, and then more people will come there, and then they'll start building, a sound studio or something to where people want to go back. And it's just, it will be huge if we can just make that step forward.
Can you talk a little bit about permits and so forth when it comes to filming?
There are no state-issued permits, so it is a city, town, municipality issued permits. So it really just depends. So state parks, you do have to go through DNR, and then city and town, again, specific, like Gary has someone who handles their permits. But we know when we did through Whiting, it was just a matter of getting clearance on property, and we let the mayor and the police chief know about the filming. So it varies case by case basis. So,
but as we talked about, like I said, tax incentives. You said state of Indiana does not have any tax incentives.
They did at one time. They let them sunset, and so it has been a mission for the past few years to try to get them to reconsider them, because that's how we compete with our neighboring states. And it's all of our neighboring states offering 30%, except Michigan, and that's where the jobs are going. So it's Indiana, and then you have Illinois, and you have Kentucky, and you have Ohio, and so they're seeing the big blockbusters there. And so we are seeing a lot of commercial work, and some smaller independent films. The Good Catholic, Pegasus Pictures just wrapped their second feature film, and they're starting the pre-production on their third one. And then we've had some independents in Goshen, but so there are things still working, and a lot of it, the independent film Columbus, that was actually done all with the help of the Columbus Convention Visitors Bureau and the hospitality there. So it was a matter of the director went on the architectural tour, wrote a script about it, came back, and she set up all the locations, the hotel, all the guest services, the catering, everything for that film. And they came back, and there's been nothing but film festival awards. It's on Hulu now. I mean, national press for that film.
Let me ask you this, are there internship opportunities throughout the state of Indiana for those people that want to get into the film industry?
Some of those production companies offer internships. Pegasus does internships, and some of the smaller production companies do as well. We have a jobs board on filmindiana.com that you can go to. So that's one of the resources. Indiana Filmmakers Network has hubs all across the state. They post jobs and internships as well. So those are a few groups to get involved with for jobs, internships, or just to get to know people. And I tell people, networking is one of the best ways to just land jobs, land connections, whatever it is. Just get to know people, talk to people. And if you want to be an actor, if you want to be director, it doesn't matter. You have to know all facets of the industry. So connections, networking, that's the best way to do it. And so to get involved in these groups.
Let me ask you this, because I think another subject that was talked about had to do with locations. And there was actual, I'm talking about the neighboring state here, had a ongoing list of sites that people, I think, would call in and say, this would make a fantastic area to do a film and this and that. Is there such a thing within the state of Indiana?
Absolutely. FilmIndiana.com has a locations database and a productions database.
Okay.
So you go into FilmIndiana.com. This is all free, by the way. And there's a locations database.
Add your location.
Add your location, see what locations we have. A lot of the CVBs add locations. They know that are film friendly. The production database is also free, so that's where when people call us, we can say, they say they need a grip, they need a director, they need a caterer. Those people are in that database, and we can say, this one is recommended because they have no marks under the admin duties that say that they're bad, and most of them are because we scrubbed that and started clean again in the past 2 years. So those are both free. So locations database, production database.
And so when we talk about locations and so forth, then, and we have for example, the Lake County Visitors Authority and so forth, would that be a major resource in terms of great places to possibly do some filming at?
Absolutely.
We just worked on a small, a private kind of, it was small scale, but they were professional. They needed a few different, they needed a marina shot, very specific, with some boats in the back, but not. And, I gave them 3 locations. We got them in there. They were looking for an old-time theater. I contacted a few of our old theaters. They ended up going to the Memorial Opera House in Valparaiso. They were very excited to work with them. Every single place that I was able to push them to, they ended up going there, filming, had very positive experiences, and we're looking forward to when that short comes out to help them promote it. We're all in this together. They are showcasing amazing locations, and it kind of starts. That's why Amy relies on me a lot, because I do know. We talked about networking, and my only job is I'm a professional relationship builder. That's what I do. So if someone needs something, I will make sure that I can get you the information that you need, or at least connect, those two.
Because I know a lot of communities are doing a lot of work in terms of redevelopment and so forth. Like, in East Chicago, they're doing major work on their marina and so forth. Or Whiting is doing, has been doing a lot, and for an incredible little city, they've been doing a lot. So, that's a great thing, but I think it's going to take a lot of people, a lot of networking that with the same vision that want to bring more filming done in Northwest Indiana and beyond, and teaching facilities, because you have to start by teaching and take it from there to have the personnel to, for any film companies that may want to come in here, we have local personnel to participate.
And that's our workforce is a huge part of that.
And that's another place that Indiana Filmmakers Network comes in handy is that they do a lot of workshops. And I've spoken at a few of their different hubs in Indianapolis, Noblesville, Fort Wayne, scheduled for a couple other ones, but they're in Lafayette, they're in South Bend, they're in Evansville, they're in Terre Haute. So they're a great resource. They can put you in touch with some actors workshops, some writing workshops, and they hold some on their own. So you know, they're all about the education as well as networking. So for the state of Indiana, people saying that it's not film friendly, I would say they're wrong.
You know what, I think I was saying something on the internet yesterday in terms of these Indiana film networks, but there weren't any networks that were close to up here and so forth, or maybe it might be an opportunity to start a hub or whatever in the area here so that we can all meet, so we can all connect and master the possibilities. So I think it's a great project, and in terms of new business, so to speak, it would be a great opportunity as a new business to bring to Indiana, and especially to Northwest Indiana and Lake County. So
Absolutely.
okay. What are your immediate plans then for this office, the Indiana Film Office?
So, since the session's over and we were talking, you know, about the incentives, and there was a bill this past session that went to the House Ways and Means
Can
Committee.
I stop you real quickly? Is there a lead legislator on this that you know of, or is there a committee that, you know how you have different committees within the legislature? Is there a film industry committee, or is there a certain legislature that's going to take the lead on anything that has to do with film?
Yes and no to both of those. Representative Frizzell has been working out of Indianapolis. He's been the author of the past two bills, but there's been co-authors that have signed on. So he's in the House of Representatives. Lonnie Randolph did do one in the Senate, on the Senate side.
Okay.
So that didn't go anywhere as well. So we kind of need to pair those up and get everybody on the same page, basically. We need to make sure everybody's wanting the same thing. And by that I mean, we want to have the same thing for all 92 counties. We
Right.
want to make sure all 92 counties are equally represented.
Strength in numbers?
Exactly. So strength in numbers, strength in no political lines. It's all for one for all, you know. So this is about the film community, nothing else. So need to get you need to get the incentives to get your foot in the door for serious filmmakers to look at you, and then if we can get that, then we can get maybe a more robust film hub of our own going around the state, and then we can market that to those filmmakers, and you know, eventually have, you know, 3 to 4 films all across the state at one time, and then, you know, these students could be interning on a film up here and learning from professionals coming from LA or New York, or, you know, who used to live there, and now, you know, they're coming back to the Midwest. So,
You know, you got movies, you got TV programs, and you got commercials. Are there, do film companies come in just to shoot commercials into a community?
there is we actually have one right now out of LA shooting
so-
a commercial for Meyer, so they do.
I guess on that note, what's the contact information for your office?
Filmindiana.com has all the information listed there.
Okay. And so I guess we're getting near the end of our program here, and you two have been marvelous guests, and hopefully, like I said, this is the start of a major conversation about the film industry, about bringing more filming to be done in Northwest Indiana and Lake County and beyond, and to hopefully work together, partner, and network with each other. So on that note, this is Juan M. Andrade, and this is from the heart, not to any heart, my heart. So let me just say this, listen to WLTH Radio Friday evenings from 5 to 6 p.m. and Saturday mornings from 10 to 11 to find out how you can view our programmings that we have here at the Area Career Center. So that's Friday evenings from 5 to 6, Saturdays from 10 to 11, 1370 a.m. On that note, thank you.
Thank you.